Welcome back everyone, Mike McConville here, Stratford, Ontario, Canada. We're mixing it up a little bit this time. I'm going to bring you in first and show you the completed compensated nut. So these are 9 to 46 strings at concert pitch, and this is for this 1967 ES 330. Remarkable condition. Barely a thumbprint on this thing. There's some very minute lacquer checks, but other than that, it is astounding, the condition of this guitar. The customer's father bought it brand new back in 1967. Anyway, it has been well maintained. So we're going to start by doing the tuning check first and let you hear and see a completely calibrated guitar. These are the final bridge locates. And this is the final job on the frets. They're all buffed out, leveled, crown polished. This is the progression I've looped. I'll let that play and you can hear the balance between the pickups. Of course, it acts as a humbucking mode when it's in the center. A little bit of hum with each single coil pickup, and that's just the way it's wired. So here goes. Blues vamp in A, and you kind of let this thing rip for a bit and you can hear it. Okay, here we go. this neck set, that's pretty close, so I am going to have to gently remove that neck pickup while we do the fret dress. So strings off. Just put a little leather bumper pad in there so that we don't mar that top. I can see that that tail piece has been swapped out. I'll have to ask the customer about that. I never noticed that. And it looks like the machine heads have been swapped out as well. Certainly understand that. Okay, so what do we got here? Yeah, we got a bit of rock and roll, and we're going to take care of that. So the threads into the body are fine. This is actually threaded right into the hardwood, so no issue there. I see at some point someone doubled up the thumb wheel adjustment, which is okay. That's not a bad idea. Kind of stabilize it right at the surface of the top, and then use the top thumb wheels to adjust the actual action. Oh, look at this. There's some little chips of wood in there that somebody took the time to kind of firm that up. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, well, you know something? They'll go right back where they came out. Slip that into a Ziploc bag to keep it out of harm's way as we do our fretwork. You know, I have to say that there's definite proof of employee pride in this particular guitar. You know, somebody took the time to really make sure everything was done right. The neck set is beautiful on this guitar, and even the fret dress, it needs very little. This neck to body junction, there's almost no displacement at all. So at the factory, whoever did the final fingerboard leveling had ramped that down a little bit, and this guitar is one of the best Gibson necks I have seen in years. No exaggeration. We're good to go. This is the only discrepancy. Up here, it's perfect. It does not need to be touched with a file. So you got to remember, this is a half a century before the whole CNC machine thing. They got it right by hand at the Gibson factory. Bravo. Someone definitely took extra time with this guitar to make sure it was perfect. So the nut's coming out. We're doing a compensated nut. So that's the next move. So I do heat up that blade before I score this. To get this out safely. So give that a try. See how we make out. Easy does it. That is what we got. Bring you in for a closer look as we clean up that hot glue, because it's warmed up now from the hairdryer, with a hot chisel. So the trick here is always work from the outside of the nut inwards towards the center of the fingerboard. If you push all the way through, there's a chance you may chip off some of that very old lacquer. So resist that urge to push all the way through. Okay, I'll take you around the other side. Same thing here. I just heated up that chisel again so that it's hot to get that softened glue off nice and clean. Working from this outside edge towards the center. So to get a nice crisp outside edge, I actually use a file, again working from the outside in. If you look, you'll see that I've ground that file down on the edges. It actually thinned it a little bit so that I can get into those narrow slots. So I'm bringing this edge flush, getting rid of the last of that glue, so when we put our blank in, we get a nice tight fit. I brought you around that side so you can kind of see that ledge that I've got. Very happy with that. Nice and crisp, no chips of lacquer, nice and clean. I'm doing the same now on the treble side here, just getting a nice crisp ledge. So just so you get a good look, this is the original nut that came off. That is the only microspec of wood that came with it. That's how clean we got it out, and that's how clean you should get it out. Okay, so this is step one. I've cut the length. You can see that's quite a bit longer, leaves us lots of forgiveness on either side. I've cut that off the length of the blanks that I send you guys. So this has been cut down from the 10-inch length that I send to you guys, those blanks. First thing we're doing is basically getting the leg of that nut to fit in there with a perfect press fit. Just check that fit. Ooh, loving that. Okay, next step. Well, I wanted to bring you in very close to show you just how shallow that radius is. So this is our straight ledge for the overhang. That is the radius that we need to put on that. This is done on that new radius disc sander that you fit into your drill press. I'll use this template to sort of check my progress. Okay, over to the drill press. I know that this is a big challenge for you guys to put this radius on. Here's how long I take. Let's check that. And we could work it a little tiny bit more. And that's pretty darn close to a perfect fit. Let's check it against the guitar. The next move is to reduce the height of that leg until the shelf makes intimate contact with the fingerboard surface. So just mark that right across there. That's pretty close. So that's what we're taking off to get that ledge to drop down to make 100% contact with the fingerboard surface. Back to the disc sander with the air switch. Let's see what kind of fit we got now. Boy, I can't argue with that. Now we're ready to radius the crown. I love that foot switch. Back to the guitar. With that nut out of there, now I'm able to get clear access to the one spot that needs to be dressed, that 3rd and 4th fret. What's kind of cool about this is it's going to take out the little bit of fret wear that there was in this guitar. That will take care of it. Let's check that again. No issue now. Now will we crown that? Just chase place those crowns back to center. Yeah, that was the only spot in the entire length of the guitar that needed to be addressed. Now these are the original frets, and Gibson was doing that sort of wide oval, low profile fret, at this time, so they were never really that high, but there really isn't that much wear on these frets, so no need for a refret at this point in time. We do need to cover up those soft plastic inlays, so let's do that. This is what we ended up with. Man, I'm still blown away by this neck. I am serious when I say it's the best Gibson neck I have seen in years. Very little correction. Now we'll get on with the rest of the job. Well, way back then, somebody went to the trouble of making these little spruce wedges. Pride of workmanship happening on this guitar. Whoever did this work put a lot of love into this. Look at that, it's like press fit. Okay, other side. I'm impressed. Somebody took the time to do that all those years ago. Put our cover back on. Now we're going to address this looseness. Let's wrap that post in Teflon tape just to take care of all this kind of schlock in the machining. Ah, much better. Okay. Yeah, there's no wiggling or jiggling. Now, this one's actually pretty tight. It looks like someone might have actually glued it, which is not the best idea. So no more wiggling or wobbling or jiggling. So now we've got a little sleeve of heat shrink tubing. Let's see how that helps as far as firming up the press fit. Okay, you know something? I think in this case, center to center, I think we can eliminate this side. It looks like just putting the heat shrink on the one side, that'll give us that center to center press fit we're after. Beautiful. So that's firmed it right up, big time. Okay, now we can put some strings on. The customer had indicated that the bridge pickup wasn't loud enough. In other words, the neck pickup was louder than the bridge pickup. You can see you have the screw adjustments, you can kind of back them off, but it wasn't quite enough. I put a leather gasket around there, and I think that's going to give us what we need. We'll see when we get on the home stretch. Just check that with a straight edge. I think that might have done it. I made a template out of vinyl, but actually used leather for the actual gasket because leather is non-reactive, so it's not going to react with that vintage finish. Get this started. We have run out of real estate on that A string, so this needs to be flipped 180 and reinstalled. You've heard me mention this in plenty of videos. Now look at the slop. See that slop, that play in there? That's about 24th thou of movement. There are ways we can kind of work around. One is using Loctite or liquid nylon to flood that cuff of the fastener to hold it steadily in place. So it's tight enough that it doesn't slop around like that, but it's firm enough that it holds the intonation. So let's just check this to see where we end up. There's our A. Now fret that 7th fret E note, and it's flat, so plenty of room to come forward, so that's what we're going to do. Check that again. Ooh, man, it's still slightly flat. There was never enough travel for this guitar to tune until that was flipped 180. So the note E on the 7th fret of the A string, and its octave. Boy, oh boy, we've almost run out of real estate again. Let's bring that a little closer. Okay, now the good thing is that's actually snugged right up, so it has taken up all that looseness and schlockiness there that was in the saddle earlier. It's gone now because we're right up tight against the casting. Let's try this. 7th fret note and octave. Ooh, man, that just squeaked in. Well, I can tell you right now, I'm not wasting any time with that D. I'm going to flip that around, take it out and flip it around right now, because I can tell you, there's no way that's going to intonate. Yeah, like, look at how sloppy that. I just pull it right out. I'm not going to waste any more time with this one. I'm going to bring this one right to its max adjustment and see what we got. Okay, now that we've flipped that 180, we'll reinstall. Let's have a look at this. I'm going to start by bringing it right up to maximum adjustment first. So I'll bring it right tight to the casting. Do not over tighten this because that's bone. You'll split it, guaranteed. 7th fret A and its octave. Ooh, good, it is sharp. That's what we want to see. So we do have some room to move back. And let's try that. Oh man, okay, I can live with that. There we go, let's try that, okay. And its octave. Yeah, it's pretty flat. Well, there's lots of room to travel on that one, so that shouldn't be an issue. Okay, I live with that. So we'll go to the note G and its octave. Oh, that's sharp. That's a good sign. Okay, that's the direction we want to go. It doesn't look like it could come any more forward. Try that 8th fret, G and its octave. Hey, you know something? I can live with that. And its octave. Okay, we're good. All 6 strings. We can put our retention spring back on there. It can be a real bear to get those things in. That went in without too much of a struggle. Although that open string is registering flat, it is not flat, it just needs to be filed properly. So what I'm doing is I'm going to loosen this off, and I am going to make sure that I chase that E string focal point. The highest point in the nut slot needs to be moved as close to the 1st fret as possible. Then we'll get an accurate reading. Okay. Okay. Let's try that again. Fretted 12th fret and open. Ah, okay, now we're getting there. That should be sharp because we cantilevered over the edge of that fingerboard about 1.7, almost 2 millimeters. It's about 4 cents sharp. Let's take care of that. Let's check that again. So again, 12th fret fretted note and open. You know, we're running into the same issue that we did with the E string. I'm going to refile that slot right now and make sure that we've chased that slot right to the leading edge towards the 1st fret. That looks pretty good, actually. I don't know if I trust that yet. I'm just going to file that a little bit more to make sure that I have indeed chased that right to the leading edge. It is a little bit sharp. You have to make sure when you're filing out these slots that the highest point of contact is right at the front edge. It was not in both cases, the low E and the A. Now it is. I've just corrected that A, and now it's registering sharp, which it should. And we're going to cut that back. Doesn't need much. It's like 2 cents. Let's try that again. Okay, 12th fret fretted note and open. Okay, I can live with that. Over to the D string. Again, it's registering flat, but I am going to refile that nut slot. Fret fretted and open. It's a little tiny bit sharp. I just barely touched this one. Okay, we'll leave that one. Let's go over to the G. It's registering flat too. So don't trust that until you've ensured that you have filed that nut slot correctly. Okay, I'm going to leave that one. Let's go to the 2nd string. It's registering flat as well. Okay. The nut of that guitar is basically higher than the center of my chest. And that allows me the luxury. I'm actually leaning on the guitar neck, which is supported by the neck support, and I am eyeballing that thing. I can look straight down the file and chase that right to its post. So having that up, being able to kind of eyeball this as you're filing it is a huge advantage, because you know you do have to watch out for the string spacing as you go, and I'll bring you in for a closer look on that one too. See, I've chased that B string while I'm yakking away at the camera. I've chased that over too far, so I got to move it back towards the G. Take that material off the back of the nut and chase that B string to its post. Try that again. Much better. It's my 12th fret fretted note, and okay, that's like 8 cents sharp. This has to come way back. Let's check this again. There we go. 12 fret fretted and open. No complaints there. Finally, the first string. This is going to come back about 6 cents. Let's check that. Well, that definitely did it. Now we kind of smooth it out and make it look pretty. And then the last thing we're doing is dropping that down until the open string and all the first fret notes both play in tune. All 6 strings are done. So to take up all that slop and play in the saddles, I'm just flooding some Loctite on those cuffs, because that's where most of the play is. Let that wick right in there and set up. For the originality police, it's a better alternative than swapping out the bridge. This is the original bridge with the solid bone saddles. So I've let that kind of wick right down. I'm just taking up the excess with a Q-tip here. I really want to encourage that to kind of fill that void, to get rid of all that schlocky play and stuff that you saw earlier. It looks like we could use a little bit more in that low E. Normally this stuff is used for the threads, and it works fine on threads, but it also helps to kind of just stiffen up all that looseness. But now that the guitar is set up, Michael can just relax, stick to those strings religiously, and he's good for the long run. So our quick tuning test. That's about as close as it's ever going to get. So here's the tricky part about doing the Gibson style nut. Maintaining the distance between strings can be pretty tricky because as you cut into the nut to adjust the values, because the strings are canted, and they're purposely canted, I aim them towards their respective posts. What happens is as you cut in, well, the string moves in a little bit. So you'll go, you got to go around the block a few times with these Gibson nuts, to sort of get it right. But I just want to give you that tip. As opposed to the Fender nuts that just go straight through. Just wanted to point that out about the Gibson nuts. So as you cut your values, and this is why you leave lots of height, as you get on the home stretch. So if you've got enough height or meat in the actual nut blank, then that allows you that forgiveness if you start to drift a little bit on the string spacing.